Set in New York in the year 1904. The New York Fire Department responds to smoke billowing from a room at the Manhattan Adventure Society. As a firefighter grabs the doorknob, the smoke is sucked back into the doorframe, causing his hand to freeze. They break down the door, revealing a room filled with frozen corpses and a phonograph playing an unknown language. In the shadows, a mysterious figure holds an orb containing an ancient evil. When the orb opens, the bodies shatter, and a pair of eyes stares out from within. Present day. The Spenglers, Callie, Phoebe, and Trevor, along with Mr. Gruberson, have moved to Manhattan from Somerville to become full-time Ghostbusters. They pursue a ghost called the Sewer Dragon through the streets. Trevor nearly traps it, but it starts to fly out of range. Callie deploys a drone trap, successfully capturing the ghost, though Gruberson crashes into a rack of city bikes. The family meets their old nemesis, Walter Peck, now the mayor of New York City. He chastises them for the damage caused and for employing Phoebe, who is still a minor. The incident makes the news, casting a negative light on the Ghostbusters. Despite Gruberson's efforts to bond with Phoebe and Trevor as a surrogate father figure now that he's dating Callie, Phoebe remains hesitant. Callie, however, supports Gruberson. Back at their headquarters, funded by Winston, the Ghostbusters are visited by Janine as they add the sewer dragon to their containment unit, which is nearly at full capacity. Meanwhile, Trevor discovers green slime upstairs and follows it to a mountain of junk food. He encounters Slimer, who flies through him, covering him in goo before disappearing. Ray and Podcast are now attempting to use artifacts from customers to connect with the afterlife for their new online show. When a woman brings a watch that belonged to her late husband, Ray tries to read it but gets no response, leading Podcast to smash the watch with a hammer. They are then visited by Nadim Razmati, who presents them with the same orb seen earlier. Ray uses his PKE meter on the orb, but the energy it emits causes a surge that breaks the meter. Phoebe plays chess alone in the park when one of the pieces starts moving by itself. She is approached by a ghost girl named Melody, who died in a tenant fire and always appears with small flames. Melody expresses doubts about her chances of crossing over. After talking with Phoebe, Melody is later seen on the streets, conversing with a growling voice and questioning if Phoebe is really the chosen one for his plan. The family arrives at a ghost research facility funded by Winston, where parabiologist Lars Pinfield has been hired. Lucky also works there and reunites with Trevor. They bring the orb, and Lars notes that other captured ghosts are drawn to it. Later, the facility experiences a power surge when Lars tries to extract energy from the orb, nearly freezing his arm in the process. The Ghostbusters receive a call, prompting Phoebe and Podcast to investigate. At a diner, they find Melody is the ghost causing trouble. While Podcast prepares to trap her, Phoebe hesitates, unable to go through with it. The team visits Nadim at his shop to learn more about the orb. A PKE meter reveals that Nadim himself has spiritual energy. Lars and Lucky take Nadim to Venkman for further examination, discovering that Nadim can manipulate fire when Venkman provokes him. Melody visits the firehouse and continues her conversation with Phoebe, who shows her around the facility in the containment unit. Melody is intrigued by the orb and notes a strange language emanating from it. Phoebe and Podcast accompany Ray to the New York Public Library to research the orb's origins. They consult an expert, Dr. Hubert Wartsky, who explains its history. Centuries ago, a power-hungry king sought assistance from a powerful entity named Garaka for his conquests. However, Garaka intended to use his powers to bring about a new ice age. The Fire Masters, Nadim's ancestors, imprisoned Garaka in the orb and stole his power-giving horns. If Garaka is freed, New York will experience the death chill driven by fear. The orb then emits the same language heard earlier. As the team leaves, a ghost that stowed away with Podcast escapes in the library, prompting a chase. Ray encounters the original library ghost from the first movie and is still spooked by her. The ghost escapes outside and possesses the lion statue Fortitude. Phoebe uses her proton pack to destroy it just before the cops arrive. Peck seizes this opportunity to clamp down on the Ghostbusters, attempting to shut them down for good. He condemns the firehouse and repossesses their equipment. Phoebe is arrested for defying Peck, while Winston reprimands Ray for getting her and Podcast into trouble. Melody visits Phoebe again, finding her in a moment of solitude. After their conversation, Phoebe decides to use a method to bring them onto the same physical plane by temporarily separating her spirit from her body for 2 minutes. The procedure works, and Phoebe becomes a ghost. However, Melody reveals her true intentions. She is working for Garaka, who cannot use a ghost like her to open the orb. He needed a living person, Phoebe, to do the job in exchange for helping Melody cross over to be with her family. Garaka possesses Phoebe's body to speak the incantation, bringing the demon ghost back to life. Phoebe's spirit returns to her body as the rest of the team rushes to help her. Lucky fires a proton blast at Garaka, but he freezes and shatters the stream. Callie and Gruberson assist Phoebe while Ray, Winston, and Janine arrive. They realize Garaka plans to free other ghosts to enact his death chill. Outside, the city begins to freeze, producing deadly icicles that endanger the population. The team heads to the research lab to gather equipment before Venkman and Nadim join the fight. Ray encourages Nadim to tap into his Firemaster abilities to combat Garaka. Meanwhile, a possessor ghost attempts to kill everyone by taking over a proton pack, but Nadim redirects the blast out the window with his powers. The ghost then possesses a pizza, which Slimer promptly devours. Lucky advises Phoebe that regular proton blasts won't suffice against Garaka, so Phoebe lines her blaster with brass, similar to the orb's material that can trap Garaka. The demon ghost reaches the facility, and despite the Ghostbusters' efforts, they are nearly all trapped in ice. Nadim tries to use his fire powers, but he runs out of lighter fluid. Downstairs, Phoebe talks to a remorseful Melody, explaining that Garaka was never going to help her cross over, and that she had the ability to do it herself all along. Phoebe confronts Garaka, managing to strike him with her brass-lined blaster, but he overpowers her. Melody uses her flame to light a match for Nadim, enabling him to bend fire against Garaka. The Ghostbusters are freed, but Garaka breaks open the containment unit, unleashing every ghost the team has ever captured. This prompts the realization that Garaka has inadvertently created a larger containment unit. With combined efforts, the Ghostbusters and Nadim's firebending overpower Garaka, dehorning and trapping him once again. The ice outside begins to melt, and Melody crosses over after a heartfelt goodbye to Phoebe. The Ghostbusters emerge to a cheering crowd of New Yorkers, including Peck, who is prepared to shut them down again. However, the citizens force him to acknowledge the Ghostbusters as heroes, given that they saved the city from an icy fate. Peck reluctantly changes his stance. Moments later, Slimer and the sewer dragon escape into the city. The Spenglers and Gruberson suit up and head out to bust more ghosts. During the credits, the mini Stay Puft Marshmallow Men from the previous movie are seen stealing a truck from the official Stay Puft Company, driven by an unsuspecting driver.
Frozen Empire has a lot going for it. From a stellar returning cast, including the original Ghostbusters, to a chilling new villain, add in numerous callbacks to the earlier films and some intriguing newcomers. And it seems the franchise has another potential hit. However, the overall execution falls short due to a slow-moving plot and character arcs that ultimately go nowhere. While the franchise's signature humor remains intact, some of the magic seems to be missing. The uneven screen time for the original cast members might disappoint some fans, but there's an undeniable thrill in seeing them reunited for the movie's climax. These movies are beloved for a reason, and it all started with them. When Ghostbusters Frozen Empire delves into the horror surrounding its central villain, it delivers genuine chills. Director Kennan adds several jump scares, enhancing the tension from the numerous ghosts trapped nearby. Simultaneously, the movie maintains the franchise's overall lightness, ensuring it doesn't become too frightening. In other words, it doesn't take itself too seriously, despite being a mega franchise. Ultimately, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire focuses too much on the build-up, ghost science exposition dumps, and smaller arcs that vary in strength. For instance, Phoebe's crush is a refreshing addition, and the return of anti-Ghostbuster Walter Peck as the mayor, with the power to shut the team down, adds an interesting dynamic. However, the film takes too long to reach its most compelling moments, and when it finally does, the resolution feels too easy. The Ghostbusters still have their charm, but there's so much untapped potential that it's hard not to feel a chill at the prospect of more. As thanks for watching the whole video, here's a picture of a cute puppy. And if you have a movie or TV show that you want us to cover, just comment it down below. We'll make a video of it in the future. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out our playlist for more recaps.